Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Thinking Project podcast, where we interview founders and creatives to help you take the next step in your business by listening to inspired stories of these wonderful founders. I hope you enjoy this podcast and make sure to share it with your friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. What's up, Deric?
What's going on?
Isn't it weird that Zoom had to do that? What do you think happened that made Zoom have to put all of those warnings it's being recorded on?
Probably just for there are different states with different recording laws.
Oh, that's
like I know Texas is a single party recording state I could record whatever I want and I don't need to let the other person know that they're being recorded, like if I'm recording a phone call or something.
Yeah.
But there are some states that it's double trigger. So like if you're recording me and I'm in, I don't know, one of those states, I have to actually consent to this being recorded. So that's probably why they did that. So there's no dispute. I'm assuming someone got sued.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, somebody was like, this isn't cool. Because it's the same with Utah. Yeah, Utah is like, if more than one person's being recorded, only one person has to know it's being recorded.
Yeah.
So kind of like that whole, So like,
which is a little sus, to say the least. It's a little sus. Now, I get it in some cases, but my mind immediately goes to like police trying to manipulate confessions and shit.
That's wild stories. But dude, it's been a while since you've been on the podcast. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You're still doing all of the amazing things that you're doing. But like were you pretty big on TikTok when we had this podcast the first time? I don't even know
when.
Dude, it was a couple years ago.
If it was a couple years ago, then probably not. Because it was like last year that really started, like I focused on TikTok and started building that up. So it would have had
to have been at least a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. So maybe right at the time you were coming on, you were experimenting with TikTok. How has that been, dude? Like what are the pros of having, you said over 250,000 followers? What are the pros? Like what are some of the cons, dude? By the way, I love all your stuff, bro.
Thanks, man. Yeah. It's fun. I look at it all it's not all a pro, but it's been really cool because like this like stage of life that I'm in, this like chapter that Deric Cahill is in, is about like fuck you in general, like because I've lived a lot of my life, and even to this day I still struggle with a little bit where I want people to like me and I want to please people and I want to do the right thing for people. Although the last part is I always will try to do the right thing, right. But I don't want to live for other people anymore. And I found that TikTok is actually helping me break that barrier for myself because, back in April of last year, I posted a video. You probably saw it and we probably talked about it, but the one where I was returning a car to Enterprise. And it got across the internet, dude. It easily is over 100 million views. Like I was in a freaking United Kingdom newspaper about returning cars. I was on people were telling me, yo, you were just on my local radio station. Like for whatever reason, dude, it's like a phenomena on the internet.
Yeah.
And I went through this period after that where I was like almost like not depressed, but like I was stressed about like how am I gonna live up to this expectation? I went from 2,000 followers to 100,000 followers in literally like 2 weeks. So I had this like all of a sudden this following, and I was like, I'm not going to be the guy that goes into stores and answers phones. Like I'm 30 years old. That's not going to happen. Those days are, I have like multiple jobs. I don't have time to go film at stores. And I noticed that what had started as finding my creative outlet again, because I've been doing stand-up for like 13 years of my life.
Yeah.
And I found this creative outlet again on TikTok. It now started feeling like just an expectation, like a job a little bit. So over this last year, I couldn't see it in the micro moments, but I've evolved to like, I post what I want to post. And if you like it, cool, please stick around, let's hang out. If you don't like it, like literally I couldn't give a fuck less, like goodbye. Like go enjoy yourself, but goodbye. So I think some of the pros are like it's been really fun to like find that community of people that appreciate me, and the cons are it is a constant struggle of like I love the attention, dude. I'm a 3 on an Enneagram. Like I love charming. I love making people laugh and have fun and have a good time. but sometimes
Yeah.
that bleeds into like an unhealthy relationship that I have with posting content, which is I want it to perform really, really well. And then
Oh
it
yeah.
gets me further away from the reason I do it, which is I love doing it. So when I really have made a lot of progress, like not really giving a shit how they perform. And at this point, dude, I've had so many videos break 1 million views and break 500,000, 100,000 views. Like I have 2 videos right now that I posted in the last 2 days that are over 100,000 views. And that's not where I get my dopamine anymore, which is funny. I get my dopamine
Yeah.
now by like engagement and like, are people really having fun with it?
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I like that because, like, you bring up a really good point there as far as like the difference between views and engagement, right? Um, and so it sounds like now you've kind of shifted your focus, and tell me if I'm wrong, but you've shifted your focus from away from the views to just like how people are actually interacting with it. And so what do you look for as far as engagement and interaction?
I mean,
Yeah.
trends of like, am I getting more followers?
Yeah.
Is one way to be like, you're doing the right thing. But even that, dude, I don't really care. Like obviously we
Right.
had a really fucking bad day for America yesterday, in my
Yeah.
personal opinion.
Yeah.
And I posted a piece of content that kind of just spoke my mind on it through comedy, which is what I do.
Yeah.
And I noticed I don't know like whoever unfollows me, but there was a time where like I checked and like my follower count had dropped and I didn't even care.
Yeah.
And I think that's another cool thing of like having followers. It's like, oh, if I lose 10 people, it's like, oh, fuck it, I don't give a shit. Like, it's not like I have 20 and I just lost 50% of my followers. But it's like, I look at it like shedding. I'm shedding the people that don't really give a fuck about me, and I keep the people that do. And those people, I also care about them. So from an engagement perspective, I don't know if I measure anything like specifically. Like I just love bantering. Like, people are taking the time to comment like, oh my God. Like yesterday, for example, they were like, yo, I've been crying all day and your video just helped me smile. So like, that's the kind I just love reading that stuff because it's like, it speaks literally to the core of what I do, which is I think that I can bring light to people, which is literally what comedy is. Like that's what comedy is, all the way back to the Roman days, was like you would turn tragedy into comedy.
Yeah. And I think, with comedy, I think it's special. Comedy is special because I haven't done stand-up in a long time. Like I haven't been to I haven't actually I haven't been in a while, but yeah, I think comedy is one of those special things where it's like, if we can't joke about it and talk, like if we can't, have these like satire moments where, like we're calling people out in a funny way, then we've really lost we've lost some discourse, because like you should be able to, in my opinion. And by the way, I feel like we're on the same vein politically. Like as far as like, I am not affiliated with either party. Like I'm actually really kind of like let people do what they want to do. And like, like your choices, if your choices
you're
don't,
a sane human being.
right. Yeah. Like as long
hearing.
as we're not going around killing people, like, I really don't care what you do. And I use killing people as far as like, I know that even the term murder, especially with stuff yesterday, just gets thrown around so loosely. I feel like we've lost a bunch of meanings for words. It's like, dude, what are you talking
Dude, the
about?
challenge that I have is these,
But anyway,
and we could.
But
go ahead.
real quick. Yeah, real quick. Like, I use the term murder not in the same term as what we saw yesterday. But like, yeah, as long as you're not going around like doing crazy, like I really could care less what you do in your own house, dude, like, or with your body or whatever. Like it doesn't, like, why, I don't really care.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
And the people that do, I just don't understand. It's these fucking people, man. Like they hold on to these fundamentals that I don't know where they exist from. I don't understand where they came from. And I also don't understand how like the certain segment of people feel like their perspective on America is the America we all need to live in. That's another big thing that I don't understand. Like, why do you and your ideologies get to determine how everyone else lives? I get it, dude. Like, I asked my wife, we were falling asleep last night. My wife told me this morning that she stayed up to like 1 a.m. because she couldn't sleep after. But I was laying there, we were about to fall asleep, and I was like, do you think abortion is murder?
Yeah.
And it's a tough subject, man, because like,
yeah,
technically you have created the very beginning of life.
Yeah.
There's a little heartbeat in there. Like it could become a baby.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much more complicated shit that comes after that. A lifetime of complicated shit that comes after that,
Yeah.
where it's like, who is anyone to try to dictate what that woman gets to commit her entire life to? And I'm not talking casual, like, oh, do you feel like getting an abortion today? No one does that. I don't know
Yeah.
who ever would
Yeah.
spew that.
Yeah.
We're talking about like horrible acts of like violence and rape that produce something like that. And there are crazy people that think, oh, that's an innocent human. It's like, cool, I get it. It's a life that's created, but who the fuck are you to determine who needs to carry that to term and care for that baby? But it's all these friggin' behind the scenes keyboard warriors and these people that can put out good voice clips. They don't do shit for this community. You think they care about anyone in that community? None of them.
I agree.
Because who does it hurt the most? It hurts the people that are not privileged enough to not be in the situations that get them into that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I was talking with my wife on the same thing, because there's a lot of laws that even go beyond that people try to justify with this. And what like here in Utah, right? So I don't know how the laws are going to change because it's so fresh right now. Like I'm not aware of any trigger laws that Utah has. I haven't done.
I thought Utah had already done a trigger law. I thought Utah already did it.
Well, we have like this. Utah's so weird. We have like this Republican governor, but he is not really a Republican. Like he's more liberal in his social views, which is fine. Like I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican or anything, but he ran as like
Utah's trigger law went into effect and made abortions illegal in the state.
Okay. Yeah, which is terrible. I think that's terrible. But not only that, but before that, I think it was rape, incest, and life of the mother. And you had to prove all of those. And I was like, no way, dude. I was like, stop it. That's crazy. And yeah, and I totally agree with your assessment on like the things that happen to get people, because I was just talking with my wife about that last night. Like I have a daughter. And so of course you put yourself, any sane person would put themselves in the position of like what circumstances, like these circumstances that are pretty that are common in these situations. Like what if that happened to my daughter? Well, yeah, we would fight tooth and nail to make sure that she was okay. And
well, this should just go. I mean, it just goes to show you how like little common sense many people have. Like they're trying to pass, or I guess they're not trying to. They fucking made it. They did it. But there's nothing after the fact that supports their decision. There's still not universal access to free healthcare. There's still not universal access to free childcare. There's still not like plans to bridge the gap in pay equality and fucking eliminating some like the vast amounts of poverty that we have in this country. But keep your goddamn baby. So right. I just don't know. It's like I boil this down. Like I think about sales. It's like you don't put rules in place if you don't have back end support to actually support what you're putting in place. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you get a sales job, Dalton, and I'm like, hey man, you got to make 100 dials a day. It's like, bitch, you gave me 10 contacts. You want me to call them 10 times a day? Yeah. You know, it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
There's no resolution at the end of the rainbow for these people, and they're simple single-celled brains. Yes, I'm insulting them. You know, they talk, it's like, what next though? You just want these people, and the conspiracy theory in me, we just want more people. We just want a poorer population because poor people are easier to control. Poor people are easier to manipulate. They want to believe that the people in charge will help them and get their votes. That's the bullshit that this is all about.
I agree. Yeah. I am for government out of every aspect. Like, I don't think government should be involved in marriage. I don't think government should be involved in, you know, in these health choices, right? Like, very, very like, I don't know. I don't even know if libertarian's the right word, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, I really don't care what you do. Like, you know, and by the way, like, I think it's worth mentioning on this vein, like I'm pretty, like I would consider myself a pretty religious person. Like I go to church every Sunday, things like that. But still, it's like, we don't all have to look the same and act the same, dude. Like just do like everybody's path is different. And like,
but see, the problem that you and I have is that our position doesn't spark
enough controversy.
anything.
Yeah.
It
No
doesn't
one.
spark anything. Saying like
Right,
namaste,
dude.
namaste is bullshit in the sense of like trying to make radical movement,
Yeah.
because I don't know if it's human nature or just it's what this fucking machine of the United
No,
States has just
yeah.
become to this point. But it's like unless you are attached to like this fucking like extreme leftist or rightist view, you can't get traction. It's why libertarians never make any progress in political races, because there's just no zhuzh
Yeah.
behind them.
Well, and not only that, but like there's no one really understands, like, so this is one of the jokes that I like to make, right? When Hillary Clinton was running for president, it was like feminism would like, okay, I should start this over. I'm a feminist, right? Okay, so I'm not making fun of feminism, but it's just like, Hillary's running for president, everybody's like, vote for women in power, all of these things, which I'm all for. And then the next year there's another woman running for president. She just happens to not be a Republican or a Democrat. And now we don't hear anything, right? Joe Jorgensen. And what was funny about that was like, it was crickets, dude. Nobody cared that she was running for president. It was the fact that she wasn't doing what like mainstream was. And then not only that, but one of her big points was like audit the Fed. And like, I think that just went so far over people's head. They didn't know what that meant. And people don't understand, like,
because
we have a problem.
look at the way that we live our life.
Yeah.
Peace and harmony feel unrealistic.
Yeah.
So at least like abortions, it's like, yeah, let's cut that shit out, or no, let's protect it. It's like right in front of you. It's the fucking carrot, bro. Like no one runs this country. It's the goddamn men behind the scenes in the shrouded clothing that run the country.
Yeah, and I agree. Going back to one of your early points, like I'm very passionate about like people. I just don't believe like the government has any of our best interests in mind, locally, federally. Like I just don't. Like I've met even local people here who like, it's an agenda, it's a popularity contest. Like you don't actually care what I have to say, and when shit hits the fan, as long as the check doesn't bounce for you, you don't really care. And look, man, and this is my joke too. It's like, I actually commend you for that. Like, fine, line your pockets, do what you got to do, survive. But like, don't come back to me and then say like, yeah, but you got to care about everybody, like, because you don't, like, you don't care. And so like, that's the same thing I have with like police. Like they have a job, they have to feed their job is to feed their family. And so if that means cutting some corners to make a stupid arrest or like do stupid things or like make yourself look good, like you'll do it. And so if you're going to do that, like that's fine. But I also don't have to make it easy for you. Like I'm not going to do certain things to like help you do that. Especially because this is at the cost of me, right?
This is a perfect segue into my life's mission recently.
Okay.
Is to be more irrational.
Yeah.
Because dude, I listen to people like Donald Trump or Conor McGregor. And I know very weird people to put in the same bucket, but these people walk around like they are the shit.
Yeah.
Like they are the best of the best. And arguably maybe Conor McGregor is one of the best fighters to ever walk the planet.
Yeah.
But it's like they walk around, they spew this bullshit and they start getting these crazy followers. And it's like, all right, Deric, be fucking irrational. What are you the best of the best at? Who the fuck's going to fact check you? Who's going to come and battle you for it?
Yeah.
And I haven't gotten to the point to like make any proclamations, but it's I think this is the beginning of a multi-year journey for me, is to just be more irrational and knowing that like the backbone of who I am is very centrist in nature.
Yeah.
Irrationality for me will always, I think, come back to a safe place.
Yeah.
But you got to be a little loud if you want to make some change. And, like Bernie Sanders, I think would have made an incredible president. There were elements that I didn't agree with him. Sure. Like he was but he was just a good fucking dude, man. He was just a good dude. I felt like, and
I mean, like, not to cut you off. We'll go ahead and finish, and then
I think I was going to rattle off some bullshit. So you can go ahead.
Well, what was funny about that is the whole Bernie Sanders thing. Like, clearly got robbed. Like, clearly was not the poster boy for the Democratic Party at the time, and they literally undermined him. Like, I thought if they would have given the nomination to Bernie, I thought Bernie would have beat Trump in 2016.
I think so too.
I mean, like, I wasn't voting for Trump or either time. I might not have voted for Bernie. I don't remember who else was running in 2016. I can't really remember.
From the Democrats or the part
Or just all in. Oh, no. You know what 2016 was? Yeah, I did have a.
That was Hillary and Trump, wasn't it?
It was Hillary and Trump, but like before that, we had all the nominees. I was hardcore Tulsi Gabbard or Andrew Yang. Neither of them would have won, but I loved both of those guys, and they were running on the Democrat side. But I liked Andrew Yang. I liked some of his stuff. I really liked Tulsi Gabbard. Why? I never understood why she didn't win. Well, I do, because the same thing Bernie lost. Everybody was against Hillary, and Hillary had the whole game in her pocket. I don't know. I really didn't understand why people, even when Bernie got screwed, people were still on that train. Like, well, Bernie got screwed, but so I guess we'll just vote for Hillary because we have to. It's like, I never really understood like having to vote for somebody.
Yeah, well, I don't understand that either.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wild, dude. But I don't know. But you're right though. It's funny because you're right. Like, I'm not a polarizing person to talk to politically, because I remember, so my early TikTok days were a couple of years ago, and one of the ones that really made me think, I think it was either TikTok or maybe Reels had just come out, and there was this Reel and TikTok during the presidential elections, and the guy had the camera on him, and he was, and the caption said, "When people ask why I'm not Democrat or Republican," and then he like pans the camera and turns to this big huge library, and then the video cuts, right? And it's like this idea, it's like this,
you're educated.
yeah, you know what the hell's going on, like you've actually researched. And so like I feel like the more that you learn, the more like, yeah, centrist you become, because it's like I'm the most boring person to talk to politically, if like, because like there's a lot of things that I'm like, you know, people are like, less taxes, I'm like, sure. They're like, abortion should be legal, yeah. The gay marriage should be legal, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, see, and that's actually,
we shouldn't be in war. Yeah.
So we're actually talking about, I think one of my mission, and I've been really like yearning for this recently. I want to talk to someone opposite of myself, because I found like even on TikTok, Instagram, I've surrounded myself with a lot of similar voices.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I think that's one of the downsides, and maybe not downsides of TikTok, because I'm available across the board. It's not like only actually the opposite. Yeah. Not only my followers see my shit. It's a really weird algorithm.
Dude, but TikTok's the Wild West, bro.
I've found that like the people that I engage with are typically of similar mindset. Maybe not centrist, but like at least I think it's easy. I don't have very many like Republican views. I mean, I'm very capitalistic. I love being an entrepreneur and starting businesses, and I love the opportunity to create money, even though I think it's a fucking illusion.
That's it, dude.
But I find myself like at extreme odds with like those, you know, protecting my second right and fucking, you know, like those kind of people, even though like also that I'm for the right to bear arms. But it's gotten fucking crazy, because like it's supposed to protect against a tyrannical government, not fucking to go buy a goddamn 12 gauge at Walmart for $99 with a goddamn driver's license. But
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've been yearning to do this, like talk to someone that doesn't share my views, because I think one thing that I'm really, really good at is being so simple. I make people sound fucking stupid. Like, yeah, dude, and it's really, it's the sales in me. It's like the discovery process. It's like, all right, but why do you think that? All right, but what happens next? What's your plan there? Because I know that that's the next step. It comes to some bullshit like, well, Jesus said it, or it's in the Constitution. It's going to come to some bullshit answer like that. That's going to just be crickets. It's like, that's your reason?
Yeah, no.
And I'm hungry for it. I think that's going to be my next step in my Irrationality tour.
Well, yeah, why don't you do it, man? Because that'd be fun. I mean, it's just fun to
not a lot of people want to do that. No. I actually had a guy, this was a couple months ago now, but this guy was commenting on like all my fucking videos about it was something about abortions, and he kept clapping back with his fucking well-articulated comments, and I was like, I stopped responding to him. I was just like, here's my email address. I'm happy to hop on a phone call with you. And
Yeah.
he refused to do it. Absolutely flat out refused. He's like, I'm not good on video. And it's just like, that just tells you a lot about those people where it's like, yeah, I can,
Yeah.
you give me 10 minutes to type something, I got you. But I don't want to talk about it because you'll catch me not knowing what the fuck I'm talking about. So not a lot of them want to have the conversation.
Yeah, that's true.
No one, I live for confrontation. None of these people do, because you know why they do what they do, Dalton? Because they do it for the views.
Yeah.
They do it for to incite controversy, and they make their fucking paycheck from it. We've created an economy for people to put out hateful content as a job.
Yeah. And not only that, but like really easy. I think a lot of these Twitter warriors and things like that happens on both sides of the aisle, by the way.
Yeah.
I think it happens because like I really believe that we have lost this. What I'm reading this book. I'm not all the way done with it. And
Story of my life.
Dude, I know, right? I can't even remember what the title. Oh shoot, dude. Because I'm listening to it on Audible, but I'm like, dude, I'm only like 5 minutes in. But anyway, the premise of it is this: we've lost this risk management. Like we told people not to, we told kids not to throw snowballs at each other because 20 years ago there was accidentally a rock in one and the kid lost his eye. So now like we've lost 20 years of kids learning how to like manage risk, right? And I think one of the big reasons people can fire off on Twitter like that or TikTok and not want to jump on a call is because like we've lost this, we've lost the ass kicking. Like, I mean, and like you do jujitsu, right? Like
I do not do jujitsu.
Okay.
I do it in spirit.
Right.
My toxic trait is
remember,
thinking I could hop in there and do it in one try.
I thought we had talked, but like one of the reasons I love wrestling or like these combat sports, like boxing, jujitsu, wrestling, something like that, is like, man, it just takes one time for you to go in there, think you're going to be all hot and shit. And then, my favorite time is when I see a new person in the gym, like this big guy in the gym. He's got all this, ego and testosterone. And then like, he's like, I can beat anybody, right? Because I was a high school captain or whatever. You're like, okay, shut the hell up. And then you put him like, and he's like 200 pounds. You put him against this like 150-pound purple belt female who just wipes the floor, just kicks his ass, and the dude never comes back. That's my favorite because like
people need to be humbled.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Ego is out of fucking control. It
really, because you can hide behind a Twitter thing and not.
This with comedy, dude. There's nothing more humbling than getting on stage,
yeah.
And I think that's what makes me so well equipped to like want to combat. It's like, bitch, I fucking live with hecklers. Like, dude, this is gonna be a little bit of a segue, but like I go TikTok live making chocolate, and I get like 100,000 live viewers when I'm making chocolate, like just watching me do it. And I get trolls that come in, dude. I fucking literally probably make them question their very existence because they come in here and spew off this bullshit. And I just literally lay them to the earth because like, they just don't know. They think I'm just some like, look at this fucking dude making show. It's like, no, bitch, dude, I've been through the valley of the shadow of death on comedy stage where literally people are just staring at me being like, make me laugh, bitch. This is my time to shine.
Dude,
there isn't enough of that anymore. The people that are going on podcasts are going on podcasts with people that amp up their own views. They're going on podcasts with people that don't want to stir the boat. And then people just get up and fucking leave. It's like, let's talk, bitch.
Yeah. Well, and I guess you're right. Cause I don't know. I really love that that's your mission, but I loved for me, I am right there, dude. Like I'm in the point of my life where maybe I'll get to the point you're at later, but right now I'm like, dude, why are we're fighting over like these people in the government who make 200 grand a year or more to like, and they don't do anything for us.
But if people like us don't fight, look at how many loud voices the other side has. And this is one thing, and we have to break it down, Republican and Democrat, because that just is what it is. Like, I don't personally identify with either side, like as a whole. But one thing that I will say is I think on the Republican side, there are a lot more louder voices that are able to articulate themselves in a way that like inspire that side of it. The Democratic side, like I haven't heard very compelling arguments like from people that like can make loud voices. I think of like the vegan movement. Those loud voices over there just turn me off. It's like, bro, will you
Right.
fucking chill? I get it. You're a
Yeah.
huge animal advocate, but you are scaring the fuck out of everyone with the way that you communicate.
Okay, that's a good point, because when you were talking about like loud voices, I'm like, dude, there are a lot of loud voices. But then you said compelling, and I'm like, yeah, there's some compelling arguments on the Republican side. There's some compelling.
Well, Democrat gets very I hate even communicating like this because it goes against like the shit that I believe in.
Yeah.
But at a 10,000 foot view, Democratic arguments always feel very emotional.
Yeah.
And Republicans always seem to articulate, and I say this sweepingly, but like from a logical perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And when there isn't someone talking to them that can just sniff out their bullshit and what we need to do is just discredit. It's not about winning. I don't want to fucking get Joe Schmo over there to be like, oh, you're right, Deric. I just want Joe Schmo to be over there and be like, oh, I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know what to say next. That's what I want him to say. I was just watching clips from the Joe Rogan podcast, and I don't watch Joe Rogan, but I think this was actually on TikTok. But this guy, Joe Rogan, was interviewing Ben Shapiro, I think is his name.
Yeah, everybody knows Ben Shapiro, sure.
And what was the topic? It was something, but Ben Shapiro's response was like, oh, I hate when you put naturalistic responses on biblical stories, because he was trying to say like it's not apples to apples. And literally like a minute later, Ben Shapiro literally says the word naturalistic in a way to describe the parting of the seas. And it just gets smoothed over. And like, that's the kind of shit where it's like, I'm a heat-seeking missile. It's like, hold on a second, Bubba. Hold on one second. Can we go 30 seconds back real quick? I thought you said that we couldn't use naturalistic reasons and examples for things that happened.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on in the country. It's just a weird, I really am in one of the camps though that says like, this is about as far maybe right as I go. As you hear some right people go like they're just trying to divide us, and I guess maybe that's not super far right.
Who's they?
Like the government, like people like they're trying to like wedge
I fundamentally believe that there is some power. I don't know, individually deliberate or just mechanically deliberate, but dude, I've always had the saying, and I don't remember where the fuck I got it, but here's the agenda. Here's where they want you to look.
Yeah.
Noise, abortion. This is where they want your attention because you can't solve it while they do this.
Yeah, and here's what happens though, and this is the only reason why, like, I understand why people would go Republican or Democrat, and this is why, because I understand why people go super far right Republican because of that, right? Like, because there are some things like let's take COVID for example. We should all have respected that disease, that pandemic. We should have all been ready to like get vaccinated. We all should have been ready to like wear the masks and do the 6 feet, because like I believe that one part of the government is public health. Like we should have been able to like help people, right? But then you see like, who's the governor in New York who covered up all of those senior deaths because they didn't follow any of the precautions that they were supposed to, right? They didn't report anything and then you have like the governor in California who like said nobody shut down outdoor and indoor dining in California and then had a big old grand party at his house. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, how can we?
I found a point that we disagree on.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
So, and it doesn't start with not trusting the government. My thing with COVID is that the government relied upon big pharmaceutical to potentially solve a problem, which I fucking wouldn't trust to literally give me a blowjob if they offered. Like that's how little I trust. I'd be like, I don't think that you can do this correctly. I don't know what your agenda is here.
Like, no.
You're gonna use way too much teeth.
Like
something's gonna
big pharma, dude, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
It wasn't it. Listen, dude, in something like that, like I fundamentally believe that all individual people, with the exception of a few idiots, act with good practice. Like they think that they're acting with good intention.
Yeah.
But when you start getting people into collectives, that's when shit starts breaking apart.
Yeah.
So the government, I don't think is good inherently because there is no person that's accountable to say like, wow, I fucked up. Right. So I look at I agree, dude. When COVID blasted out, social distancing was absolutely required. I think that, dude, honestly, gloves and masks at buffets should have been the rule before COVID. So I think we got some great innovations that came out of it. But when I think through the disease itself, it was a disease that no one could touch, no one could put their hands on, and there was no consistency with it. You get COVID, you don't even fucking know you have it. Someone else gets COVID, they get a bad cough and they die. Sure. I get COVID, it's like I have a cold. It's like, hold on a second. So you're telling me you want me to take this fucking vaccine that went from 0 to approved in 6 months and just inject it into my fucking body? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've not even had COVID. Right. Not even had COVID. No one in my house has had. My son actually tested positive for COVID. He had a fucking cold. So but this is where you get into when you have conversations. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm anti-fucking trusting these gigantic corporations to whip something together and then inject it into my body. You know what else was trusted? Agent Orange.
Yeah, that's true, dude.
No, dude, like, I'm sorry that I don't want to be a part
or lobotomies.
I'm sorry that I don't want to be a part of your fucking experiment. And fuck you. So that is I think a Republican view, but for different reasons.
Sure.
It's not about trusting the government. It's like, dude, go fuck you. I wore masks when I went into Whole Foods. When you get into I'm not wearing masks, like, go fuck your literal self. You can't wear a mask to go to the grocery store. You're a little bitch is the answer there. But the vaccine is where I drew the line, where it's like, and I got close at one point because it was scary for a little bit. It's like, bitch, like, people are dying all the fucking time. Maybe I should go get that. But my wife was like, go fuck yourself. This is creepy and something scary's here.
Yeah.
And you get shit with them, like myocarditis was popping up with young people, the heart muscle inflammation. Yep. And dude, who the fuck knows what 10 years from now is going to happen?
Yeah. I did not let my daughter get vaccinated. So when they came out with like the 5-year-old stuff, I was like, nah. Because like kids are generally healthy, and like at the time when we were making
humans are generally fucking
well, and that's
healthy.
what I was saying. And like at the time when we were making that decision, we looked at some of the data all across the board, and it was like 5-year-olds, if they got COVID, it was rare that they got COVID, and if they got COVID, it was even more rare.
Dude, look at big anything and tell me something good about it. Big food, they fucking poison our food.
No, listen. I am on the
I know that we're not at odds here.
Okay.
It's just like, this is something that I'm really fucking passionate about, is like big business is the most fucking horrible thing for our world. Because you get further and further and further and further away from your purpose, which is to provide a good or a service. And what you end up doing is getting closer to wanting to make fucking money and efficiencies.
And you know what's scary about that, even when you go further than that, is like, so here's a book you need to read. So this is the story I tell when people go like, why aren't you?
This is how I became a cult leader.
Exactly. This is the story I tell when I like stopped being Republican or Democrat on either side. Two things happened in my life. The first thing that happened that drew me away from both Republicans and Democrats was in college. I got my accounting degree, and I took a nonprofit and governmental accounting class. You had to. Everybody has to take it. And when you learn how the government accounting works, you realize it's all fake. Like, that's when I realized money was not real. Because like, look, listen, you're a business owner. You've made quite a bit of money. Okay. And when you report your taxes, there's a little check on your taxes, and it says your method of accrual or your method of reporting cash. So there's a cash method and an accrual method.
Right? Yeah.
So cash is like you report it as soon as you get it. Accrual is some there's trigger events that when you can report your earnings. Okay. So you can only do one or two. You and I as business owners can only do one or two. We can switch, but we can go from cash to accrual, but we can't go back. Generally. That's the rule. Do you know what the government can do?
Both.
Whatever whenever they want to.
I guess. Well, that's the fucking thing. They do whatever they want.
And like they have government appropriations. That's literally fake money. That's literally making up money to fund something. It's crazy. And then the second thing that made me do it was I read a book by Matt Taibbi called Griftopia. If you haven't read that book, that will make you so mad at life, and it will make you so. I hate Wall Street. I got in an argument with a guy on LinkedIn because he was like, "Oh, we should invest in stocks," and I was like, "I'll never put a dime in the stock market." And here's why. You want to know why? Because not only do you get 7 or 10% return, you can get more with that by buying a business right off the bat. You can get more than that buying a business. And then second of all, it's all fake. Why are we, you know what I mean? Like the fact that we have trading on commodities like corn and hay and
I know
is because after the financial crash hit, that we couldn't put junk bonds in the housing market, so we had to literally control commodities. That like food, that's crazy. We should not be betting on food. It's bananas, dude. It's bananas.
It's all, dude. I mean, and it gets you back to like I can't think of a single big business that does good. You get big, one thing, like when you go to a grocery store and they say like, "Hey, would you like to donate to this cause?"
Yeah.
It's so they can fucking write down their taxes at the end of the year.
No, yeah, absolutely.
It's none of it is good. And I think that's where I think that's why big meat is broken and the agricultural industry, because we're not producing for communities anymore. We're producing to grow our business. That's why we have fucking cattle getting fucking devastatingly inhumanely treated on their way to slaughter, so they can fill the shelves of fucking 98 different goddamn countries with meat. Where if you just broke this down regionally, you want to eat meat, go fucking eat meat. I think there's way too much meat in the human diet right now. I think that we are so far away from where our ancestors were. Our bodies are fundamentally changing. But when you start, there should not be a global fucking player in meat.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. It's
there just shouldn't be, dude. And I think about it a lot as I grow wicked bold, because I look at companies like Hershey's or Dove, and it's like these companies are fucking massive and they don't even make real food anymore. They're making things that appear to be food. They have hundreds of thousands of employees across the world. What they're in the business of is making money. And it makes me think, how far do I want to go with wicked bold? Like, if I'm given the opportunity, if I can earn that, how big am I going to take it? And the one thing that I always say when people ask like, what's next? It's like, I want to make sure that just at every step of the way, I deliberately grow with what's in mind of like how we started, which is like real fucking food. Like, all right, Deric, you're about to cross $10 million in revenue. All right, cool. How am I going to keep doing what I do, except at a bigger scale?
Yeah.
And I don't think that I'm going to be the most profitable company in the fucking world. I don't think that I'm going to compete with, 87% margins at these big companies, but can I make a 30% margin and fucking feel good about what I do at the end of the day? Because if small companies can do it, big companies can do it. But big companies don't want to do it because it will cost them money.
And you know what? And you know what the problem is here? And this is not an excuse for big companies. This is an indictment of how far horribly this has gone. But what some people, and you might know this as a business owner, but like when you get to that point and you have public shareholders, you have a fiduciary responsibility to make as much, literally legally, and a fiduciary responsibility to make as much money as you possibly can, because your shareholders can actually come back and sue you if they can prove that you deliberately missed profits because you were doing something else, right? Like, not I can
suck my balls.
Right. No, I understand. I'm not excusing this, but you know what I'm saying? Like, this is how out of whack and out of touch.
But and the root of it is government. Look at the last point that I'll make on this is agriculture. Dude, back in like the Depression and the Dust Bowl, the government started issuing subsidies to farmers because dude, 50 years ago, I think 3 out of every, like, maybe not 50 years ago, maybe like 70, 80 years ago, it was something crazy, like 70% of families were farmers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now it's less than 1%, but those like 70, 80 year ago stipends or whatever the distributions were from the federal government to farmers is still in place, even though that money goes to giant fucking companies like Monsanto.
Yeah.
So they're getting federal subsidies on the food that they're preparing, when the intention was small farmers need to fucking pay their goddamn electric bill at the end of the month.
Yeah. And not only are they still getting subsidies, the inflation's chicken's still about to be $10 or $15 a pound, bro. even with all of that. It's ridiculous, dude. Yeah, don't get me fired up. My wife hates it when I get into this mode because I hate, like, that's what I hate. Like, out of all of this, that's what I hate the most because, like,
Is $10 to $15 a pound chicken. You
right.
love chicken.
Is like the corruption that happens when you just
Dude,
let
it's
people
all
run rampant.
we live in literally the most corrupt. We are the white collar Republican corruption of the fucking world.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I
We
agree with
corrupt,
that, yeah.
we break the law, we fucking murder people around the country, around the world.
Yeah.
And who the fuck is held accountable? It's like
Nobody,
you can go kill people. I can't shoot someone down the street and I go to jail, but you can go murder a fucking entire goddamn village of fucking
dude. And not only that, but like
nothing happens.
But like the government, dude, and this goes back, you know, kind of bringing it full circle. We started this conversation talking about how we don't like to talk to cops, but like good reason, dude. Did you see that? I mean, this happens every day. This wasn't a one-off thing, but did you see that Netflix documentary? It's like a docu-series. I don't know. I can't remember what it's called, but
I watch a lot of docu-series about
dude, you should. It's one of the new ones. But there was they were like
yeah. I haven't seen that because Brooklyn doesn't want to watch it, so I have to find time to watch it alone.
Okay, it's wild, dude. All right, I won't spoil anything, but the story is the same. Like the cops came in, they made a wrong decision, shot a dude, killed him. Nobody was held responsible for it. In fact, the kids who made the prank call on the wrong house got like 12 months in jail for like, not for like manslaughter. They got put in jail for prank calling 911. I'm like, and the cops, they were like, we're not releasing the name. The cop's not going to be held accountable because the guy wasn't listening to it. Like the guy wasn't listening to you.
It's been
what the fuck are you talking about?
It's been turned into an us versus them dynamic with police. It's it's this like the fraternal brotherhood of police officers.
This no knock warrant thing, bro. You're gonna like
it's a gang.
If you broke into my house, like no knock warrant means like you don't knock, you don't announce yourself.
I have no fucking idea who it is,
bro. You're gonna get hit. Like I'm coming for you, dude. Because like I don't know who you are.
Bazookas right next to my bed. Like I'll fucking blow this shit to the kingdom.
And by the way, like if you like, I'm like, dude, you can't do that. And then like, oh well, he had a gun. So
but see, this
like,
is
what
the dynamic.
Are you talking about, bro?
The dynamic here that gets even worse, man, is like we can talk about this and we can theorize. It doesn't. That shit doesn't affect you and me.
Yeah, you're right.
It doesn't. It affects people that are in parts of states and cities that are targeted by police, and typically fucking brown-skinned people are the ones that are victim to that. No one's ever gonna fucking no-knock warrant my house. I live in goddamn suburban. No one's coming in here to do that.
Yeah,
and if it does, if they do, it's the exception to the rule.
Right. And yeah, no, I mean, I had a lot of that growing up. Like, so I'm Hawaiian. I don't look like it, but
mahalo.
Right. Yeah.
Is
right.
That Hawaiian? That a Hawaiian word?
Mahalo is yeah, thank you. But it's crazy because my mom though is brown and my grandpa and my whole that side of my family is, and yeah, crazy stories, bro. Like I was riding down the store with my grandpa. He's brown, I'm white. They're like the cops are thinking like he's a
kidnapping.
Yeah, like for real though. They were like, "What? Who is that?" It's like, "It's my grandson." They're like, "Are you? How do like prove it?" Basically, and I was like, "What the freak? Are you kidding me?" I was like, "I'm his
that's
grandson."
How embedded racism is, because like there could be one thing that's just like, what is going on here? And like I'm sure there was some relative good intention, but it's the intention through the lens of passive racism.
Yeah, but
there's no fucking way that this brown man could have this gentle white baby with him.
Yeah, seriously. And like it's crazy, bro. It's wild, dude. And then I had, instances when I was growing up, tell people like, because I have a Hawaiian name and my mom, like I said, like my mom and I don't look the same. And so I'd be like, are you adopted? No, I'm not adopted.
You should be like, shut the fuck up, bitch. I'm undercover with the police.
I was like, no, my dad's actually Russian. They're like, your mom's Hawaiian, your dad's Russian. I'm like, yeah, that's what happens when your parents meet at BYU. And I was like, what's going on, man? I'm like, yeah, I'm Hawaiian. Or like I get called out for like, I have this tattoo, this Polynesian.
Yeah.
and people will call me out. Like I've been called out for
Appropriating their culture.
cultural appropriation. No, not by Hawaiians though. Like when a Hawaiian comes up to me, or like a Polynesian, they're like, yeah, you look like, you just light skinned. I go, okay, cool. Well, that makes me feel good. It's like the white people will go like, why do you have that tattoo? You're not Hawaiian.
Dude,
And
white people are honestly, I think, the fucking worst thing to ever happen.
I go, do you know who I am? They're like, why does that matter? I'm like, well, if you knew who I was, you'd probably know why.
Dude, we could probably talk for hours, bro, because I don't even know where those people come from. There are people that come into my TikTok. I've made the video, I'm doing live, and they are telling me what I'm doing. Like, there have been people that come into the live and they're like, oh my God, you're not wearing a mask. That's fucking gross. They can't even see my face on the video. They see the chocolate and they're saying you're not wearing a mask. It's like, bitch, are you fucking, I look around, I'm like, are you in this building with me? What are you talking about?
Dude, it's wild, bro. I get that all the time. I'm like,
but it all circles back to the point of, if we don't do something about it, me and my white looking friend here.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Dude, who will? Because at the end of the day, man, you know, I still don't know what the answer is, but like, there was a lot. I mean, to this day, like, I don't really know what to do, because it's like, is it my time? You get this, you know, there's this thing that's like, you know, this white hero syndrome. And it's like, I would love to help. I don't really know how sometimes. So like how I help, like TikTok has become kind of the way that I do what I do, from a sense of like comedy. It's like I find a way to voice my perspective and my opinion through the use of comedy.
Yeah.
But I have been, like I said, like I'm yearning to get a little bit more me out there, like raw Deric, and talk to people that don't believe what I believe. A, maybe they can inform me, but B, maybe I can just fucking railroad them and just have such a good time doing it.
Yeah. No, I think one of the things, because I'm in the same boat as you, like, you know, especially with like abortion things, you get people on both sides of the aisle who are like, you know, but especially like one of the arguments from the left would be like, men have no right to be in this conversation. And I go, okay, that's fine. I'm like, whatever. So what I've actually tried to do is like, I've tried to just bring people on my platform to give them a voice. Yeah. So I guess that's one of the ways that I'm kind of doing this. Cause I plan on, because of this whole thing, I plan on actually bringing on some, you know, some people that like I said, you know where I stand on this whole issue. I don't think we should have done this. And the main reason, here's why I think abortion should be just like legalized, right? Because it's this idea that like, because you have some of these other Eastern European countries like Germany, for example, where it's totally legal. And it's so crazy because Germany has, their whole culture around sex is different than ours. Their whole culture around abortion is different than ours. It's very open, very easy to talk about, right? And I've just had conversations with my German friends about this. I've never been to Germany. But like abortion's legal, like drinking, like all of these things, right? They have the lowest overdose, like they have the lowest overdoses, they have the lowest abortion rate, they have the lowest unplanned pregnancy rates, right? Because not only is the culture different, but it's also like accepted. It's like, oh, you had sex, okay. Why are we freaking out? Like, you know, oh, you had an abortion, like, okay. And I guess it's kind of counterintuitive, but it's like the DARE program.
Yeah,
it was probably the worst thing that you could have done to stop drugs. The
teaching
worst
everyone about it.
Yeah, well, not only that, but like stigmatizing it.
Yeah,
you force people into a box. Like you literally force people into like, well, I did a drug and they said this is who drug people are, so here I go, right? Like you did that to people. Like no one did that to them. Like there are people who can use drugs and be fine. There's some people who can't, and I'm not advocating.
I mean, this is, you know, just. Dude, look at in the 1980s with Ronald Reagan and this big war on drugs. They used to show videos of people smoking pot and jumping out of fucking windows. Yeah, and now multiple states have it legalized. I've never had the energy to jump out of a window when I'm high, ever in my life.
Yeah, dude,
ever.
No, you're absolutely right. Like,
and then that when you start seeing these connections between fucking dumb decision plus time equals now you know it's a dumb decision. That's when I'm starting like, oh, maybe I'm going to pass on this whole vaccine thing for a hot minute. Maybe I'm going to chill. I'm going to let some time go by and we'll see what happens.
Well, and you know what? Like I was like, for me, like the vaccine was like, all right, I'll take it. But where I kind of drew the line was what we're talking about. Like you didn't want to take it. Cool. And whatever the reason was that you didn't want to take it, is totally cool with me. Like, you don't want to take it. That's fine. I
Yeah.
don't feel like you're infringing on my rights. I feel like because you're not taking the vaccine, I'm going to die now. Like somehow
Dude,
the
people that get the vaccine can still get fucking COVID, and they can still
Right.
give COVID. It's like, what the fuck are
Yeah,
we doing?
yeah, exactly. Or like the funniest argument with that was like, I chose to get vaccinated. Period. You chose not to. Period. We can still be friends and hang out. Like what the crazy thing was for me was like you not getting vaccinated now somehow canceled my vaccine out. Like, you're not getting vaccinated, you're gonna kill me. But I thought you got vaccinated. So hold on, wait a minute. Like, it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? Like,
because we're
like,
making misinformed decisions based
right.
on fucking who yells the loudest.
Yeah. Because I was like, I'll just get the vaccine. Okay. And it wasn't a big deal. Like, we got it. It was fine. And then, but like, it was like people who were like, you didn't get a vaccine, now I'm gonna die, or my kid's gonna die. It's like, no, hold on, time out. Actually how this disease works. And actually it's on, we don't even have enough data to know, like at the time this was all going, I was like, we don't even have like enough data. Like people were throwing out science. I'm like, I took 2 statistics class in college and I got C's in both of them. And I know that what you're saying is not real. Like, we do not have enough data based on statistics to make this decision yet.
Yep.
And we should just say that, hey, we're making this decision probably a little early, trying to help people, probably going to change this later. I'd have been like, okay, cool.
Yeah, there's no transparency. There's no fucking
like,
transparency.
we don't like, do masks work? I don't know if masks work or not. I'll tell you what though, when everybody was coming out and saying like, this is the only way, I knew that was bullshit.
Yes.
Because it had to have been. Now I wore a mask. I'm not saying any of that, right? But like, I'm also saying,
I almost wore a
like,
mask this podcast. Just we don't know if it transmits electronically. I have no.
right. But like, I was like, but like, I'll go along with this to make everybody feel better, and so that we can open up the economy. Because if me wearing a mask meant that small businesses didn't get shut down, that's what I'm for then. Right. But
I wore a mask where I had to. I haven't worn a mask in a fucking hot minute though.
I go. No, I haven't either. I've stopped. I haven't worn them for like a year and a half. And like Utah was crazy. Like there were businesses with signs in Utah that said, if you have a mask, don't come in. You had like one, like next door, it was like, nobody's allowed in without a mask. And then right next door is like, these guys are crazy, you can come in ours. It was like, okay, whatever. But like at the beginning of the whole mask thing, I was like, they were like, oh, this is the only way to stop it. I was like, we don't know enough to know make that statement though. You know what I mean? It was like
ivermectin.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you want to hear a crazy story about that before we wrap up?
Yes, I do.
I know you got to go, but like, dude, so pharmacists were not filling that prescription for ivermectin. So I go to my doctor, and I said, I have COVID, or like, I'm sick. He's like, you have COVID. I'm like, great. He's like, all right, well, there's a few things you can take to help it, right? And it was ivermectin was one of them, and then it started with an M or whatever, the monoclonal antibodies. Yeah, whatever. Whatever. Like those 2 things. He was like, I can give you those. They seem to help. I was like, all right, whatever. So I got the monoclonal antibodies, or I don't know how you say it, whatever those antibodies are. And then ivermectin. And he writes me a prescription. This is my doctor, dude. And I go in to the pharmacist and I hand him my prescription. He's like, we don't fill ivermectin. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, this is for my doctor. He's like, we don't do that. And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, the CDC hasn't approved it. The CDC hasn't approved it for this thing, for COVID. And out of an abundance of caution, we're not going to give it to you. And I was like, well, that's like practicing medicine without a license. He's like, well, we're pharmacists. We go to school for this. I go, this is when I clapped him. I was like, yeah, but I wouldn't call my pharmacist if I was sick. I would call my doctor if I was sick. And he got really mad. And I was like, dude, you can't do this. You can't, this is not legal what you're doing. And I because I'm like, you're practicing medicine without a license. You can't do this. And
that's
so we argued.
Clap back.
I was like, we argued. He ended up not giving it to me. And because I'm poor, I obviously can't sue a big pharmacy like that. Right. So I go like, this is crazy. But now every time I see him, I'm like, I just like, because it's like my local grocery stores. So then to wrap up that whole conversation though, he ends up not giving it to me. And I'm like, so you're not going to give this to me? He goes, no. And I go, but just 3 months ago, you gave me the J&J vaccine. And in the 3-month, remember in the 3-month time, J&J vaccine was FDA like emergency approved. And then 3 months later, because it caused blood clotting, it wasn't anymore. And you can't even get the J&J vaccine anymore, right? It's only Moderna and Pfizer. So I looked at him and I go, but you gave me the J&J vaccine that you knew would kill people. But out of an abundance of caution, you gave it to me because the FDA said you could. He goes, that's not the same thing. I go, yeah, I'm sure it's not. Just give me my prescriptions and I'll go get my ivermectin somewhere else. I was like, you can't do that. It's like, you can't give me the J&J vaccine that now is not even, you can't get it. They won't, because it's so bad for people. You'll give me that, but you won't give me this that's prescribed by my doctor.
And isn't that a perfect way to just put a cherry on top of this? It's like the fucking goddamn federal government. Yeah, take the J&J. Oh, actually, that shit kills people. Let's stop.
And by the way, ivermectin that has almost no side effects. Like if you took it and did nothing wrong, like it's like taking, I don't know. It's just okay. Whatever.
Is ivermectin the horse tranquilizer? Is that what
it's
everyone was calling it?
So it's ivermectin is used for scabies and also deworming. But they had some, there was some research that said it would help, like because there was something that said like it would help with COVID because of one reason or another. I don't know.
Dude,
I don't know.
I didn't know that we were going to be full on political chat, but it's also, I think, timely and appropriate considering I did want to talk about yesterday. So I'm glad we chatted through.
I mean, I'm glad, and I'm probably going to call one of my friends who's really active in this, have her on to talk about it because, like, you just want like information. I think what kills bad information is good information. For better, and I don't know, is that enough? I don't know. Do you got to be crazy? Yeah, you probably do have to be crazy because it's like in marketing, right? Like attention sells. Nobody likes a boring marketing company.
Well, I think that the way to get your relative centrist ideologies out there or positions is to just make other people look dumb by how radical they are. It's like, but why do you think that that's the answer?
That's true though, because
why do you get to tell me what the country looks like when we're America? You are not America. That's true though,
because like one of the things I was talking about before yesterday was like Pride Month. I was talking with a friend and he's like, I own a business and stuff. He's like, why haven't you come out and said like Happy Pride Month? And I was like, I go, what are you talking about? He goes, well, you haven't posted anything about it. Like, where do you stand? And I go, what? I go, are you kidding me? I was like, I have friends who are homosexual and trans and things like that. And they know I love them. Without a doubt, I'm a safe space for my friends in that community. I don't have to post about it because I can pick up the phone and call my friends.
Well, actually in the gay community, it's turning into this like just profit. It's like, oh, it's Gay Pride Month. Let's change our logo.
Right.
And
because
actually, dude, I have such, go ahead. I have a really funny story that I can close you off with though.
Yeah, but it's like, dude, it's like Disney. We went to Disneyland, rainbow flags everywhere, very inclusive. I love it. I had no problem with it. My daughter was asking me questions. I was answering all of them. Yep. What is that? It's a rainbow. It's because some people choose different lifestyles. We love and respect everybody. And then I was like, but if you go to Disney in China, they will not have any of that in China. That's what I have. I'm like, that's why I don't play this game.
They're catering to their demographic that's going to pay them.
Yeah, exactly. Pay them the most money, which is like, dude, I'm like, but my friends know that without a doubt, I am a safe space for them. That's all I need. That's all I need, bro.
Yeah, dude, like, our Wicked Bold restaurant in Flower Mound, Texas is marked as the LGBTQ friendly safe space on the internet. But we have this pillow that says love wins and it's a rainbow pillow. Mm-hmm. And this was maybe like a week ago, this Hispanic lady came in and ordered food. I go in the back and make it for her. I came back up to give her food and she leans into me and she goes, is this? And she had an accent. I won't try to do the accent, but she spoke like with a thick accent, but she goes, is this place only for the gays? And I was like, I kind of took a step back and I was like, what? And she pointed at the pillow and she says, is this place like only for gay people? And I was like, no, what the fuck? I was like, no, we're just inclusive. We don't want anyone to feel like they don't belong here. Yeah. And she was like, okay, and left. And I was like, this whole time I'm making this lady sandwich, she's probably like, oh my God, am I safe in here?
Yeah, she's like, this guy's not gonna serve me because I'm not gay or whatever. No, it's just like that's also like Pride Month is one of the things that I'm just like, I don't know. People think I don't like it. That's not the case. Like I
I'm
said,
picking up a really anti-gay vibe from you, so I can say
I go, that's not the case. Like it's like that old, like I don't know who said it, and it's not old. Sorry, I misspoke there. But it's like that saying that's like, if you have a problem with me, call me, and if you don't have my phone number, you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me. Like all of,
ooh,
you know, what I mean?
damn, that's good.
I don't know who I heard that from, but I go, yes. I'm like, if you have to ask me where I stand on certain things, like you don't know me enough, you don't know me enough to argue with me.
To draw conclusions, yeah.
It's like, dude, of course. I do have friends on my phone who I like, who know, like I have a friend who's writing a book about his, like, and by the way, like I'm like I said, religious. I have a friend who's not.
I thought you were about to say gay.
Right. I go, yeah. He goes, I'm writing a book about my experience. He's like, I want somebody to do the audio version for me because I don't want to do the audio version for me. I'm like, hand it over, dude. Let's go. I'll read it for you, and I'll do the best job you've ever had. And it's just funny. It's like, but you
The
know
best
what I mean? But
job he's ever had. Are you sure?
I'll be like, dude, but like that's what people they come up to me. They're like, you didn't say anything on your Facebook profile. I go, get the hell out of my face, bro. Don't talk to me. You don't know me. I don't know. It's wild, dude. But yeah, I mean, no, this is a great one. I figured we would just get on here. I figured we would just get on here and riff. So I'm really happy about it. So dude, yeah, but Wicked Bowl Chocolate, they can find you wherever. I love your chocolate. And it's all good, bro. Thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate you, man. And I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Absolutely.